Twisted your knee in a game? Now you can find the right chiropractor, and there's no need to panic. Intro. The moment everything changes. Welcome back to the After Injuries podcast. If you're listening to this episode, there's a pretty good chance your injury didn't happen slowly. It happened in one moment. You planted, you twisted, maybe someone bumped you, maybe they didn't, maybe you heard a pop, maybe you just felt something shift, catch, or light up in a way that made you stop immediately. Then the questions start in your head. Is this serious? Do I need an MRI? Do I go to an orthopedist? Can I start with a chiropractor? And how would I even find the right chiropractor for a knee injury when most of what I see online says back pain, neck pain, wellness? Nothing in this episode is meant to diagnose you or replace an in-person exam. I'm Tom, the producer, and here we're helping injured people cut through AI and search and social noise to match with the right local chiropractor for their specific injury. We're doing that. We've worked directly with chiropractors and personal injury law firms on how they show up and match with clients in SEO for years, and now we're matching with the new client journey through AI and LLMs. And today we're looking at one very specific scenario for one very specific injured patient type. And that's you. You twisted your knee during a game, a workout, or a rec league moment, and now you need to figure out whether a chiropractor even belongs in the picture, and if so, how to find the right one. This episode is not about how to rehab your knee at home. This is not a treatment tutorial. This is a guide to finding a chiropractor who actually understands sports-related acute knee injuries and knows when to treat, when to co-manage, and when to send you somewhere else. We'll walk through what, quote, twisted my knee, unquote, can mean in plain English. When this might fit a sports-savvy chiropractor and when it clearly needs medical or orthopedic care first. How to search smarter and what to look for on clinic websites and reviews specifically. Then, the exact questions to ask these offices you identify on a phone call before you book your first appointment. Your injury is not like everyone else's, and every chiropractor is not the same. Section 1, the I twisted my knee injury story. This is one of the most recognizable sports injury stories there is. It sounds like, I was cutting and my foot stayed planted. Or, I landed weird. Or, I pivoted and felt a sharp pain. Or, I got bumped and the knee went inward or outward. Or, I finished the game but it got way worse later. Then after that, people usually describe some combination of pain with walking, bending, or bending and straightening, swelling that shows up soon after or later that night, a sense that the knee is stiff, shaky, unstable, or not trustworthy, difficulty with stairs, squatting, turning, or changing direction. And here's where people get stuck mentally. Not every twisted knee means a major tear. But also, not every twisted knee is just a tweak. That's why the job is not to self-diagnose from a state of panic. The job is to get the right set of eyes on it, ideally someone who understands sports injuries, knee mechanics, and when conservative care makes sense versus when imaging or an orthopedic opinion needs to happen quickly. Section 2, when a chiropractor might fit, and when they should not be your first stop. And this is probably the most important section in the episode. Again, we're not here to sell chiropractic services. We're here to help guide an injured potential patient through the right process in the age of AI to identify the best chiropractor for this injury. A chiropractor may be a very reasonable starting point if you can still bear some weight, even if it hurts a little. The knee is a little painful, swollen, or stiff, but in no way deformed. You feel something is wrong, but you're nowhere near that "this is clearly catastrophic" category. You want a musculoskeletal exam and a provider who can evaluate movement, function, and next steps. And a chiropractor should not be your next step if there are more obvious red flags, like you heard a pop and the knee immediately gave out in a dramatic way. Not a chiropractor. If you can't bear any weight on your knee, not a chiropractor. If your knee is visibly deformed or legitimately locked in place, not a chiropractor. And if the swelling is severe and building fast, or you can't move the knee normally at all, or if the knee feels grossly unstable, going back to that feeling where you just don't trust it, or it keeps buckling under you. Those cases may need urgent medical or orthopedic evaluation first, because acute sports knee injuries can involve fractures, dislocations, significant ligament injury, or meniscal problems that need more immediate workups. And this is exactly why you want a chiropractor who understands their lane. You're not looking for someone who says everything belongs here. You're looking for someone who can look at a sports knee, assess it intelligently, and say one of three things. First, this is appropriate to start conservatively. Or second, we need imaging soon. Or third, you need another specialist now. One of three. That judgment is a big part of what you're shopping for. Section 3. Why this is a great Find the Right Chiro episode. Knees are interesting because a lot of people do not instinctively think chiropractor when the problem is not in the spine. They think emergency room or urgent care or orthopedics, sports med, maybe physical therapy later. And sometimes those are exactly the right places. But chiropractors who truly work in sports and musculoskeletal care often evaluate and co-manage knees, especially when the question is this a sprain, strain, or irritation that can start conservatively? Or is this movement limiting but clearly not surgical? Or is there enough instability, locking, swelling, or loss of function that imaging needs to happen now? That means the consumer problem is not just where do I go, it's how do I tell the difference between a chiropractor who really works with acute sports knees and one who mostly talks about posture, stress, and general back pain. That's what we resolve in this episode. Section 4. Search smarter. Don't just type chiropractor near me. If your knee got hurt during a game or workout, your search should reflect both the injury and the context. Most people start with chiropractor near me, or best chiropractor in your city name, or sports injury chiropractor. And those are not useless, but they are wildly broad. You want to give the search a much better signal using a mix of what happened, what body part hurts, the setting, and your geographic location. Here's some better searches. Sports chiropractor knee injury Memphis, or twisted knee chiropractor Naples, Florida, or knee pain after pivot sports chiropractor Philadelphia, or sports chiropractor knee sprain Walla Walla, Washington, or knee injury chiropractor rec league Dallas. If you're a runner, lifter, basketball player, soccer player, or pickleball player, you can also layer that in. For example, basketball knee injury chiropractor Memphis, soccer knee twist chiropractor Hoboken, pickleball knee pain chiropractor Las Vegas. What you are doing is training the search engine to stop showing you generic wellness pages and start surfacing providers who have publicly signaled that they understand athletic or active person knee injuries. Section 5, what to look for on a clinic website. Once you run those searches, don't just pick the first map result with a lot of stars. Click through. Your goal is to figure out whether this chiropractor really sees sports knees or whether the clinic is mostly centered around something else. Look for the shoulder level specificity that you see on other chiropractor websites, but look for it for knees. And a good sign is when the clinic site has actual content about knee pain, sports injuries, ACL or MCL or meniscus topics, return to sport, functional movement, performance or active recovery. They don't have to diagnose you from the website, but they should show enough specificity that you can tell knees are a part of their normal world. Look for evaluation language. You want to see evidence that they do more than generic spinal adjusting. Phrases that help you include movement assessment or range of motion testing, orthopedic testing or sports injury exam, functional assessment or imaging referrals when indicated. That kind of language matters because it signals we examine and think through sports injuries, not just we applied the same visit structure to everybody. Look for sports identity. A clinic that really works in this lane often signals it clearly through sports chiropractor, sports injury positioning, athlete testimonials, return to play language, conditioning or movement language, and relationships with gyms, teams, or active adult groups. That's useful because your injury happened in a sports or activity context, and you want someone who understands not only pain, but also performance, movement confidence, and getting back safely to play. Section 6, what to look for in reviews. Now, reviews are not perfect, but they are very useful when you know what to scan for. In reviews, you're looking for language like twisted my knee, or sports injury, or meniscus, ACL scare, hurt my knee playing basketball/soccer/pickleball, helped me know when I needed imaging, got me back to training, did a very thorough exam. Did a very thorough exam. That last one matters more than people realize. A review that says they were very thorough and explained whether I needed more imaging is often more useful than 10 reviews that say, friendly staff, beautiful office. You're not shopping for a spa. This is a decision about the right evaluator and guide for a sports-related knee injury. Section 7, how to shortlist the right clinics. Before you call anyone, build a short list of 2 or 3 options and put these clinics on your short list if most of the following are true. First, they clearly mention sports injuries or knee pain. They Their site suggests they are actually evaluating function and movement early on. They appear comfortable with imaging referral. Their reviews include active adults or athletes with knee-type stories, and their whole vibe should feel musculoskeletal and performance-minded, not just generic wellness. That shortlist is your pool. And you don't need 10 clinics, you need 2 or 3 that look like legitimate matches. Section 8. What to ask when you call. This part is huge because a 5-minute phone call can save you weeks of wasted time. So here are the questions to ask. First, do you regularly see people with acute knee injuries from sports or twisting injuries? And you want to hear, yes, we see that a lot, or a confident explanation that acute sports knees are a part of their practice. If the staff sounds surprised that you're asking about a knee, that is your answer. Cross them off. Second, what does your first visit look like for a twisted knee from a game or a workout? You're listening for them taking a history of what happened, them giving you an exam. You're looking for movement testing, stability or functional assessment, and some explanation of what they look for first. If the answer is basically, we'll adjust you and see, that's too vague for this kind of injury. Third, if you think I need imaging or an orthopedic opinion, how do you handle that? This is one of the biggest questions. A strong answer sounds like, we evaluate first, and if there are signs that imaging is needed, we refer out or coordinate that. You want someone who is not threatened by imaging, not threatened by orthopedics, and not pretending every knee belongs exclusively in their office. And fourth, do you work with active adults or athletes trying to get back to sport? Now, why ask this? Because it helps you understand if they think in terms of return to play, modified activity, performance goals, and real-life movement demands. That matters if you want more than a rest and wait plan. 5. What would make you tell someone to get seen elsewhere first? This is a sneaky question, but it's powerful, and a good provider can tell you their red flags. That alone tells you they think clinically and understand triage. Section 9. Green lights and red flags. Green lights. You're probably in the right place if they regularly see sports-related knee injuries, if they explain their first visit clearly and specifically, if they mention movement testing, function, and next step decision-making, if they're comfortable talking about imaging and ortho referral, and if they ask about your sport, activity, work demands, and goals. That's good stuff. And red flags, you're going to want to slow down if everything sounds generic. If they don't seem to know what to do with a knee that isn't a spine complaint, or they mention a long-term care plan before anyone has examined the injury, or if they act like imaging or orthopedic referral is some kind of betrayal. If the entire pitch is basically, we adjust everyone, then slow down for sure, or just look for another. And remember, the right chiropractor is not someone willing to see you. It's someone who can help you answer, what kind of injury does this seem like? Is conservative care appropriate right now? And what would make us escalate? Section 10 are twisted knee, frequently asked questions. Q1. If I twisted my knee and I heard a pop, should I still start with a chiropractor? Well, maybe, but that really depends on the rest of the picture. A pop plus immediate instability, severe swelling, inability to bear weight, or major loss of motion raises the urgency and pushes you toward medical or orthopedic evaluation first. Q2. Can a chiropractor really help with knee injuries? Some chiropractors, especially sports and musculoskeletal focused providers, absolutely evaluate and co-manage knee injuries. The key is not chiropractor versus everyone else. The key is whether this chiropractor clearly works with active lower extremity injuries and knows when to refer. Q3. Do I need an MRI before I call a chiropractor? Not always. Many acute knee injuries start with a history, exam, and a decision about whether imaging is indicated. And the right chiropractor should be comfortable helping make that call or telling you clearly when imaging should happen now rather than later. Q4. What if I can still walk on it? That's good, but doesn't automatically mean that it's minor. Some sprains and internal knee injuries still allow walking, especially early on. Weight bearing is one clue, not the whole answer. Q5. What if I'm not an athlete, just a weekend warrior? While I say don't sell yourself short, this episode is still for you. You don't have to be elite. If the injury happened during an active twisting, planted foot movement, the same search logic applies, especially if you ever want to perform an active planted foot movement again. You want someone comfortable with sports-style knee mechanics and active person goals. Closing. Do not panic. But don't just guess. If you twisted your knee during a game, a workout, or a rec league moment, the answer is not to diagnose yourself from fear or whatever the worst-case search result says. And the answer is not to blindly book the closest chiropractor and hope they know what to do. Your next step is simple. Search using the injury and activity, not just the provider type. Scan clinic sites for sports knee clues. Read reviews for stories that sound like yours and call 2 or 3, maybe 4 offices and ask those real questions above about evaluation, imaging, and referral. You are not just trying to find a chiropractor. You are trying to find the right chiropractor for your knee at this moment in this level of uncertainty. That's the whole game. And if you do that part well, you give yourself a much better chance of getting the right care path early. Whether that starts conservatively with a sports-savvy chiropractor or moves quickly towards imaging and another specialist. Thank you for listening to the After Injuries podcast. Please don't hesitate. In fact, we encourage you to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you are a multi-location chiropractic office and you want to discuss your local authority and visibility or short-run podcasting, go to afterinjuries.com and reach out right through our contact page, or find the button in the navigation all the way to the right that says Chiro Marketing. We'll see you next time on After Injuries.